What is experience? In Dungeons & Dragons, experience is an optional game mechanic by which a dungeon master can manage pacing of a character's level to best match the plot events. Now, it is optional, and some campaigns, such as Princes of the Apocalypse, actually say that characters should level up at each one of the incremental plot events. But having a level of experience allows this gradual increase towards a level, showing the players that they are making progress constantly. It is an optional game mechanic, and if your game opts into it, here are 3 ways, using the 3 different tiers, that you can gain experience. First off, role-playing. So adequate role-playing should gain each experience for when you are playing in character, especially in a role-play heavy campaign. My personal choice is 25 experience for Tier 1, that's levels 1 through 5, 50 for Tier 2, and then 100 for Tier 3. And if you're still doing a lot of roleplay in levels 16 through 20, perhaps up to 200, or honestly, how much does it advance the plot? Because remember, leveling up is about how much the characters are advancing the plot. Again, role-playing to bonds or flaws should get more experience because that's a little more intense roleplay, or roleplay with very important NPCs could gain more experience as well. Second off, exploration, the discovery of the ancient tomb, completion of a quest, or retrieval of a MacGuffin should each be worth a certain level of experience, perhaps more than most combats, because they are actively advancing the plot, and this allows the player's level to go up as they are discovering things and moving around the environment. Third off, of course, combat. And this is that hit points reduced to 0, experience points go up. And the idea of combat is that defeating an enemy is going to give experience and move the plot forward. So of course it should be used as an experience way. But the monster manual itself says very specifically on a very early page that the experience from a monster doesn't have to come through defeating the monster by reducing it to 0 hit points. We're not talking about a pool of hit points gets drained, the pool of experience goes up. No, it can also come through defeating the monster or resolving the conflict. And this means perhaps if you bribe the bugbear to leave the village alone, well, you've done the same thing as reducing the bugbear to 0 hit points, because it is at 0 hit points as far as being a problem in that region. So the dungeon master could actually give an equal amount of experience for just defeating the monster in some unique way and reward that accordingly. And this is where we're going to get into the GP to XP converter. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything has a bunch of charts about how you can convince monsters, or even bribe monsters, or even bribe people to get them to do what you want, which could be resolving a conflict. The picture shows feeding a chunk of meat to an owl bear. So that is a method of conflict resolution that could be considered defeating a monster. And I think the cheapest way of doing this would be cat grinding. So what you do is you see how much herring heads or some other fish product would cost in your local town. It should only be a couple of copper pieces. You buy those, you grab them, and you bring them to the local cats. One should always assume that cat encounters start off as hostile, and anyone who knows cats well or owns a cat, as May Scratches will tell you, cat encounters are generally hostile, and even on a day-by-day basis. So giving them these herring heads or fish parts or whatever could allow them to become from hostile to friendly, and thus counts as a conflict resolution. So thus giving you the 10 experience points per cat. It's not a lot, but that's the idea of grinding. A city might have a lot of feral cats, and by taming all of them, you could gain a large amount of experience and move forward.